Emily City Cross, and you're watching Outside the Games with your host, Kevin Lindsay.
Haley Luginbill, she's from Western Branch High School in Virginia with a GPA of 3.97. Her position is first base, third base for softball, and she's a class of 2023. Haley, welcome to our show. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Hey, we always start off with the show with family. We believe that family is such a huge part of who you are, what you do, and without it, it would be tough to be a student athlete because there's so much of the support and the foundation that helps you and enables you to do your sport and to be good academically. Tell me how you would define family and why, Haley.
I think family is more than just like blood related. I think family is people who you love and care for and who you can trust to always be there for you, whether you need someone to talk to or if you're in need, they'll just always be there for you.
Yeah, and it's important because, again, they're there. When they're present, when they're able to give you that support, that's huge. And you have mom and dad in the home. Any sisters or brothers?
I have two brothers. They're both older.
Both older brothers. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So yes, sibling rivalry is in play. But your mom and dad, explain first of all your mom. What is it that she does for you to make you the best student athlete possible? And of course, you being her daughter.
My mom is just always there to support me, whether it be with both school or softball. She's always willing to take me to the field and throw front toss to me and help me work things out. But she's also willing to also do homework with me, even if I'm struggling. She just always helps me, and I love her.
That's great. What about your dad? Because your dad, each of them both have different roles. What about your dad? What does he do for you to make you the best student athlete? And you're his daughter.
My dad helps more with like the fundamental of hitting and stuff with those softball skills. He always so supports me and loves me, and I love him too. And he's just always there for me too.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great to hear. With you as a student athlete, and we talk about that because we believe it's not just the athlete, the student is part of that as well. As a student, though, there's your high school here at your high school in Virginia. You're a sophomore, going to be a junior next year. Talk to us about the experience at your high school and what it's like, and how do they support you as a student athlete?
At my high school, they have a lot of stuff. All the students are they're very kind, and I can always ask someone in my classes if I ever needed help with something, and they'd be willing to help me. Same with the teachers. If I can go in early or later, and they'll just help me with whatever I need because they want me to do my best, and that's really great. They also have like after school programs that you can take advantage of that'll be great, and like the coaches for the sports, if you're doing that, they're totally okay with that and supportive of that because they know how important grades are. That's probably most of it.
Yeah, I think that's important because, again, they're part of the support structure, right? As a high school. What's the student body like as far as, there's different sports. Obviously, you play softball. But how is the student body, your peers? And again, we're under COVID-19, so it's been difficult to be with your other students. But tell me what that student body is like at that high school in Virginia.
We have a very large student body, and most of the time, everybody's almost always involved in something, whether it be sports or a club. So they understand if you need like help or something. They know, they can understand, you can relate with them because they're doing or struggling with the same things that you're going through right now.
Right. And I tell you, go into what it's like to balance your home life with being a student athlete. That can be very difficult at times because there's a lot of things that are going on personally for you at home, but then there's also it's kind of like you leave work at work, and you leave personal to personal. And for you, though, as a student athlete, how do you balance those things um, for you today?
I just always make sure that there's like a division between them. So I have time. I set time aside if I need to do schoolwork, and I set time aside for softball after school, so I know I can get stuff done at certain times, and I don't have to worry about it afterwards, and I'm not as stressed. And I also I join in the family stuff sort of with the after school stuff. I prefer not to be all stressed about something going on in my family life during school, because then I'm just not going to perform as well as I need to.
Yeah, that's a balancing act, right? It can be a
Mhm.
balancing act to some extent. Um, with you have a 3.97. I mean, that's impressive. The dedication it takes to the academics in a virtual world, in a sense of virtual academics. How do you maintain a GPA like that? It takes some work. I mean, because we've been under this COVID for
Mhm.
quite some time. You're in phase two in Virginia. So how do you handle all that?
It was a little difficult at first getting used to the virtual school, and you had to like figure out how to work everything and all the bugs. But after you get used to it, it's almost as easy as in-person school, because we're basically just doing the same things. It's just online, and you can still get help. Like you can still go after class if you need to, and they're willing to help you. It's it's pretty easy. I mean, I think I still prefer in-person school just because I like having interactions with people, and I think they can better explain it to me in school. But online school isn't terrible.
Yeah, I mean, some people have found it difficult because you don't have that
Mhm.
one-on-one with the teacher, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so, well, let's be clear. You have to be very motivated, very, very self-driven
Mhm.
to make sure you get to your virtual class and you attend. I mean, that's huge. Attendance, if anything, these teachers are looking at attendance.
Yeah.
Pretty big. It's a pretty big thing there.
Hmm. They do. For our school, attendance is like really big for our school because we do exams where you can like be exempt from them if you come to like most of the classes, or you don't miss a certain number of days. You can skip the final exam if you have a good enough grade and you like come to the classes. So that's really nice also.
Yeah, and for you, that student teacher relationship, we'll get into that a little bit. With the student teacher relationship, how important is it to have good communication with your teacher, especially being a student athlete, because you're representing the athlete side of your softball program. So, how important is communication to you with your teacher?
It's really important. If you're not working or talking to your teachers, then it's just gonna be a whole big struggle between you two, and they're not gonna understand what, like, if you have something going on, they might be more lenient. But if you're not talking to them and telling them about this beforehand, then they're not gonna work with you as much as you probably want them to. Because school is still probably more, you need to have the grades before you can totally focus on going and doing your sports.
Yeah, because you look on the next level, that's exactly what colleges are looking for. They're looking for,
Yes.
especially the softball programs in college, they're looking for the student athlete, a person that's going to be dedicated in the classroom. If it's virtual, yes, but then also to dedicate themselves to their sport. So that makes sense. Um, in your school, what have you found out to be the most challenging? If you could say one challenging thing that you find at your high school, what would that be?
I'd probably say getting used to when you first come in the type of schedule of your classes. We have 4 classes a semester instead of like the usual 8 or so at others. So you have to sort of like get used to that and know when like you're going to do stuff, and otherwise it just gets too much still with the 4 classes, because we're cramming all the work that you would usually do over a whole year into one semester. And then after you're done with that semester, you move into another class. So you just have to really work on your time management and get used to that at this school.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that because you highlighted one of those student athlete challenges,
Mm.
that of
Yeah.
time management. How hard is time management? Because you have to prioritize things. I mean, things
Mhm.
come in, maybe something comes up, and throws
Mhm.
things off on your schedule. How do you handle time management as a student athlete, Haley?
I like to plan more. I'm more of a planner, so I like to plan out the times when I would like to get stuff done for certain classes, and then plan out when I'm gonna try to do my softball stuff. But if something does come up that's like I really need to do for school, then I'm gonna have to cut back a little bit on the softball. But I'm just gonna have to add in more time later somewhere else.
So Haley looks at a schedule.
Yes,
Schedule
I'm a big
is
planner.
ready, the planner. Yes.
Yeah.
What tools do you use? So I mean, because we have, technology is different now for student athletes. You could say that a student athlete in the past wished they could have a better phone or better
Mhm.
technology than what people have now today. But how does technology and how do things like that help you to time manage yourself with a lot of things that are going on academically in your sport?
It helps a lot. Like I can use like a calendar on my phone, or that can give me reminders of when I need to like start this or move on to the next thing. Just so it can keep me on track and just helps.
Yeah, and because reminders are so key to
Mhm.
schedule those. Um, do you find it also that you use a planner to kind of write things down into too?
I do have a planner, yes, and I like to write stuff most of the stuff down. I usually use a planner more for the softball stuff, and then I'll use my phone because they have like a calendar set up on how we do the school, and that can help me with that. So I usually use the planner more for softball stuff.
Oh, that's perfect. Perfect.
Mhm.
Haley is organized. That's right. Um, let's talk about your the aspect of the subjects you're taking. What is your favorite class, Haley, that you like right now in school,
I would probably say my favorite class is English.
and why?
I really like to read, and I'm pretty good at writing. I would like to think so. So I think I think it comes easily to me than other subjects such as like geometry. I'm pretty good at that, but not everybody can be good at everything. So
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about angles and
mm,
theorems and equations, I mean, some people just go, okay, I'm good.
yeah,
Let me find
mm,
something else. Uh,
yeah.
but,
Mhm.
but what do you find to be your least favorite class?
Geometry, math.
It's
Yeah.
that one. Wow.
hmm
And why is it challenging for you? I mean, what do you find challenging about it?
I would probably say like remembering the certain like just remembering every formula you have to use for the certain equations, just remembering how to do everything. Because sometimes you'll move on to a different unit, and then the next unit after that, you have to go back to something from a previous unit, and you have to just remember all of them. So it just gets challenging sometimes.
And so, hey, I gotta admit, some student athletes go, okay, am I gonna use this for anything?
hmm
But I think what it does is this is there's an aspect of problem solving, right?
Yeah.
You have to problem solve. You look at equations, you look at, and it's like life. There are certain
hmm
equations thrown your way that you have to problem solve. And so maybe you could say there's a comparison there.
hmm
Now, your to me, there's some characteristics of the student and the teacher. How is it that what can be done by the teacher to make you a successful student athlete, Haley? What does the teacher have to do?
I think they have to be willing to work with you on the stuff that you need, and know that you might not have certain times available, but they're willing to come in and help you otherwise. Um, that they're just really flexible with you, and they just understand, especially if they had been a student athlete before, then you can relate with them and they'll understand you on a better level to be willing to help you and able to help you.
Yeah, I think a key word you shared with me on that was flexibility.
hmm
Flexibility from the teacher, and maybe not to the sense of like, okay, your assignment's late, or we can give you another test or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think flexibility from having an understanding of the timeline and what's
hmm
going on, because you have to balance a lot. But
Yeah.
for you though, as a student, there has to be some flexibility as well. What do you have to do to make the teacher successful in a virtual classroom?
I just have to be willing to, even with my schoolwork, I have to be willing to take the time even if I have to do it later at night after everything else that I have to do. I have to be willing to finish the assignments on time so they know that I'm actually trying and I want to succeed in their class and that I'm just not foregoing it or just forgetting the assignments.
Well, I tell you, you're doing, I'm sure, a great job because obviously the GPA speaks for itself, and you continue to work hard on that, right? What have you found that is helping you to maintain that GPA?
I would say probably studying a lot, using different apps to help me remember everything and studying for tests, especially. And I'm taking AP classes this year. So those are a little bit more challenging. So you have to make sure to study more so you can understand them and get your best grade possible. And just like asking for help when you need it, honestly.
Have you been in a situation where, as a student, you've maybe when you were attending class and you saw your peers, was there an opportunity for you to see maybe a student that was maybe struggling with something, and you were able to help the student out with some kind of problem that they had?
Yes, usually if somebody asks me in class if they need something, I'm willing to help them if I understand it myself. And then if I'm not, I usually ask a teacher, and then we can both figure it out together because I sort of want to get it right too. So and I want to help people if I can.
Yeah, Haley doesn't want to give wrong information, right?
I
So
don't.
she wants to make sure she's correct in what she's saying.
Hmm.
But we'll be right back with Haley Luginbill. She's out of Virginia, softball player, first base, third base, with a GPA of 3.97, class of 2023. We'll be right back.
I had this vision of what success looked like. It wasn't always about holding a trophy, it was the journey that I went through along the way. It takes years to get to greatness. I played this one sport for 28 years of my life. When you move on into a completely new territory, you don't know what to expect. I think through sport, I realized that so many things are in my hands. I want to take all the lessons from my past and contribute it to the future. Theragun has been part of my routine for many, many years now. With Therabody, my body's ready, my mind is ready, I'm challenged. I'm Maria Sharapova. How do you see you?
Dr. Mark Gabriel. I'm a chiropractor at the Wellness Center PDX and the Wellness Center Beaverton. My main goal is to help out as many patients to get out of pain as fast as possible by giving the body its natural ability to heal itself. So we have two clinics. One is in the heart of Lower Hearst neighborhood and the other one is on the west side by St. Vincent Hospital. We have multiple providers that are able to assess the body from various different angles by assessing the nervous system, the muscular system, and the bones as well as the joints. And that way we can be able to provide a treatment plan that's individualized for every single patient. We have a holistic approach to be able to heal any joint pain without surgery. We accept all major health insurance plans, and if there is something that is not covered, we make sure it's affordable. At our offices, we treat the main cause of the problem and not just the symptoms, because symptoms might come back again and then the problem gets worse.
Well, welcome back to our show. We have here Haley Luginbill. She's class of 2023, first base, third base, out of Western Branch High School in Virginia with a 3.97 GPA. So Haley, we were discussing a lot about the student life and what that looks like, personal life at home. But we're going to get into about media, something about media. There's a lot of social media platforms. You have just a plethora of them. Tell me how you handle media with those social media platforms, and how important is it to present yourself in the right way when it comes to media?
It is very important to present yourself how you want to be presented and not in like your bad light, how some people do. You just want to make sure you're always presenting the best parts of yourself and how you like act and your characteristics, and they're shining through on your posts, whether it be on Instagram or Twitter or whatever you use or want to use, because you don't want to see it come off as like a bad person or different than how you actually are. So you just have to be careful with what you're doing and what you're posting.
Yeah, and what do you think with regards to what you post? and how you post it, do you find it that there are certain different social media platforms you use than others, more than others?
Yes, I would say so. I use a lot of Twitter for like all my softball stuff and all my recruiting. And then on more Instagram, that's just more for like my friends or like family, just like keep caught up on whatever I'm doing or just posting pictures with my friends. And I think I use Twitter probably more and I hardly ever use Snapchat, honestly.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm still learning Snapchat, and I have not got good at it. So yeah, it's been something. Um, tell me, with the media, uh, do you think that media is something that you find to be troublesome for some, and do you think that media is something that you can be better at? Is it something you have to learn to get better at when you're using media?
Yeah, I think you have to learn how to do stuff and how to present stuff in the right way and just understand what you're saying and understand that it's always going to be there. So you have to make sure you're doing things right and how you're doing it is all good or
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. It's how you view it, how you handle it, because some handle it a different way. I mean, it's
Mhm.
true. Let's talk about softball, your sport. What was it about softball? What made you gravitate to a sport like that? Because you have choices of different sports you can play. I mean, is softball the only sport you play right now?
Yes, it is the only sport I play right now.
Yeah. So tell me, what is it about softball? Is it something? What do you love about that sport?
When I was younger, I had started playing all different types of sport. I'd probably played almost every sport. But when I came to softball, I found that it really stuck with me because I had fun with my teammates, even if it was just like messing around. But we would get better together and we would just have fun. And I really got that team click with them. And it was also just a fun game. I enjoyed it way better than all the other sports, especially since I'm not as good at the other sports. So
Well, I mean, Haley, you tried some other sports, right? Let's be clear. You
yes, I
tried some
did.
other sports. Other sports did you try?
I tried soccer, volleyball, basketball. I did some track, but it wasn't the running part because I'm not fast at that. It was like the field events. I did taekwondo too. I don't know if that's really like a sport, but I did it. So
Wow, wow. No, no, that's strong. I mean, you try different sports, and so a lot of
Mhm,
times, people, student athletes are looking to figure out what sport are they good at. Um,
mhm.
what is it about softball that you said, hey, this is the sport. I know I'm good at it. I know I can do it. When did you come to that moment?
I probably came to it like 12U is really when I started like moving up to higher level teams and I really understood that I was good at this and I could do this and I'd be fine with it and I could my teammates were also there to help support me and I could support them also and show them just how good they actually are even if they're not feeling like they are.
Mm. Now, the position you play in first base, third base, what do
Mhm.
you prefer? Which position really do you prefer on that?
I prefer first base more.
And why? Why? What is it about first base and third base? Explain that to me.
Honestly, first base, I'm not as quick always with my feet, and third base you really have to be able to move quick. So I can still get to stuff at third base, but I can't always get everything. So I make sure at first base I'm just I'm just better. I'm also tall at first base. It's also good for me because I can get almost everything. I can get the high balls. I can reach out further with my long legs. I can go get the picks and stretch out further. So honestly, I think my body is also better suited for it because my height and everything. So it just added on to it at first base.
So to me, I guess third base would be different because there's a lot of choppers. When I say
Yeah.
choppers, they a lot of ground balls that hit
Mm.
versus first base. You can get a little bit of that, but sometimes
Yeah.
also the reach in making a play on the ball to get the person out. Is that true?
Mm. Yes. At third base, you also have to be able to move quick for like the bunts and the slaps. When at first base, you can get away with it a little bit. You still have to be quick, But the first base, you can just, it's a little bit more flexible. You could say.
What are your strengths and weaknesses? Because a lot of times a student athlete doesn't like to sometimes go into that. You did mention a little bit, speed wise. And again, these are some things that you can improve. Mention some strengths that you have in the sport right now.
My biggest strength would probably be hitting wise. I'm a good hitter. I can hit the ball hard. I enjoy hitting. It's probably my favorite thing about the game. I love it. I'm also good at first base for most of the time for the picks, being able to move and just pick what I need to, and being able to like track the ball where it's coming in. I'm also like hand-eye coordination, you could say. Mm-hmm.
Those being your strengths, what about some weaknesses that you're looking to improve in on your sport? Because again, you're class of 2023, so you have a little bit of time, not a lot of time, but you have some time to kind of work on those weaknesses. What are some that you have and that you're working hard to improve on?
Probably my speed, just trying to get a little bit faster, being able to move your feet quicker and get to more range and ground balls or whatever you need the range for. And also trying to get more strength into my throwing. I want to have like a stronger arm. And that's also very nice for when you need to like throw it across the field or do double plays. So I've been working hard on both of those to just get them up a notch.
Now, where you find strength from, and I think I've been seeing a lot of this, especially on Twitter, a lot of softball athletes, student athletes are getting in the weight room. They're dedicating themselves to the weight room on lower body strength and upper body strength. Let's take the lower body strength of why it's important to get in the weight room and work on the lower body part of you. Is that something that you view as important for you to be in the weight room and to have you work on so you can get better at something or at a particular piece to your sport?
Yes, it is very important for the weight room, especially for lower body, because you use a lot of lower body for both throwing and hitting in your sport. That's where most of your strength comes from, because that's the strongest muscles in your body. So you need to make sure you're nice and strong to be able to do everything to the best of your ability.
And for upper body, what do you find? Because again, you were talking about throwing the ball faster, harder, getting the ball there in space and on time. What about the upper body? What have you found to be helpful for you in your sport?
For upper body, more scap muscles for getting that pull and stretch and be able to quick release. That really helps a lot with the throwing, just being able to build those up and make them stronger so you can throw harder and do what you need to do.
Yeah, and you take that all as a package, right? And how often do you work in the weight room? And again, it is based on COVID as well. That does play a part, but how often do you try to get in the weight room? And again, that's another thing to add to you as a student athlete to find time to do and schedule.
I usually am in the weight room 4 to 5 times a week, sometimes like 2 with my team, and then I do 3 on my own with like one other teammate. So we do that together, and it's a lot more, it's fun with your teammate because they can push you and you can push them, and you know how far they can go and what they can do.
But you as a student athlete though, you're kind of, you have this thinking of like, hey coach, wherever you need me, I'm there, correct?
Yes. I always want to be able to do whatever they need me to do because I want to play and I want to be on the field.
Right. Haley wants to be on the field to participate in the sport, obviously. What is it about coaching? Now, take your position, first base, third base. There's a coach that looks after that. And how important is that relationship to have with your coach when you talk about learning that position, getting better at that position? What kind of relationship do you have with your coach, your position coach, on that?
You have to have like a stronger relationship with that coach. You can probably relate with them more because they probably did it themselves or some type of sport. So they know how to do it. And you need to respect that and understand that even if you're not the best at it, that they can help you get better and not just be set in your ways. You need to just, they'll support you and they'll push you to what you need to, how far you need to go and how far they know you can go.
Yeah. And really, when you say they push you, in what ways do they push you, Haley, to be better at those positions?
they'll push me to, they know I can stretch further, they'll push me to go further, or if I can pick more than I'm doing, or if I'm struggling, they always know I can do better, and they'll make sure to throw more to me until I get it to what they know I can do.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and I think the thing is too is, are there sometimes signals that you have to learn on the field a little bit in those positions, as far as when during game time? Do they teach you those signals and how to play that position?
Yes, they do. We also, at first base and like third base, we also try to learn the pitcher's signals. So like we know where the ball is going and where we're like an idea of where they'll hit it, so we can sort of set up that way and be more prepared for that. They also have signals for like just plays that we need to do, so we need to know those too. But
How difficult as a softball player is it to get a ground ball? Because again, you see baseball. That's one thing. The ball's coming really hot, but the softball hitting the ground, hitting the field, hitting the dirt. How hard is it to pick up and field in softball?
it can be difficult depending on like what type of hit you get. Whether it's like a short hop, those are a little harder because they're coming out like one hoppers. Like you have to be prepared. You don't have a ton of time to move for them. Then there's also like the slower rollers, or the regular ones, which are pretty easy if you're able to just get in the right footwork and be able to move where you need to go.
Now let's talk about your team at Western Branch High School in Virginia, the Commonwealth. I always refer to the Commonwealth in the state of Virginia. What was it like last year with your teammates? Because again, we weren't under COVID, but at that time last year, for you last year with your team, on how you performed on the field, and how did your team do in softball?
I think we would have had a strong team, honestly. We had some good players, and they were all working, and they're all trying their best to do what they needed to be done. We only got in one scrimmage of the season before it was canceled, but we did pretty good. We understood what we would need to work on, but we worked pretty well as a team, and all the girls were great. They were amazing. And I think we could have had a really strong bond if we had kept going with the season, but it got cut a little short. So that wasn't great, but it is what it is.
Yeah, you're dealt a situation, and you have to respond to it, right? But you all were looking forward to competing and really improving, right? Because you said there.
Yeah.
What about your freshman year? What was that like? And again, with varsity, um, how did you do? And did you see an improvement from freshman to sophomore year for you?
I would think so. I mean, we haven't really done our tryouts for this year's like varsity yet, but I think I have definitely improved. I'm pretty sure I play with some of the girls like off the field, and I can see them. They've improved too. I'm just really hoping that this coming year, when we can get to play, hopefully, that everything will be better and just more fun and better than what it would have been last year. We can improve on what we maybe would have done last year and just make everything better so we can get the best results this year to make up for last year.
A lot of softball is technical. There is some technicality to it, and how do you improve the technical side of softball for you? Because you're not trying to get an error. You're trying to be as precise as possible. The technique that you learn, it's repetition, right? I mean,
Mhm.
don't sugarcoat it. There's a lot of repetition in softball that you have to do.
Yeah. I would probably, for repetition, doing like just working on the techniques that you need to do. Like, say you're fielding and you can do like tennis ball drills. Those are easy. You can do 100 of them a day or even more, just until you can get that muscle memory of how you need to do them, how you need to do the backhands, and just get that repetition in. So when you're in a game, it'll just come naturally and it'll be easier for you to do. And same with hitting. You need to get the muscle memory of doing T work, like extensions or contacts. And then just practice it enough until when you're in a game, you can't really mess it up a ton. It'll just be there because you've been doing it.
How have you improved your batting percentage? I've seen a lot of video of student athletes getting in those cages, getting those hits, working on their technique, working on their footwork, their slice when they swing through, their hip movement. Are these some things that you've been looking at have you been looking at these things for you to get better at hitting?
I have. We go to the cages quite a bit, and we like to work on different pitches and like change up drills and drop balls or whatever, and just recognizing like sometimes what the pitchers are going to throw and just standing in when a pitcher is throwing so you can see them. We used to do that at practices too, and it would really help, especially with this being my first year of 18s with like all the better pitchers. It helps to like see what they're going to throw and how to do stuff. And I'll also do like weighted bat stuff just to get that faster bat speed, and that makes it so much better.
Is there much film watching? I mean, do you ladies watch film as far as in softball to kind of see how maybe you performed in the positions on the field? Well, take me through that.
In lessons and stuff, we'll do like filming, and then we'll play it back after I do a hit to see what I can improve on or what I did. Same within games. We'll watch it through what I did at bats and see how I can improve upon those, or what mechanics maybe broke down a little bit, so I can focus on that for the next tournament or games. Same with fielding, just going through the plays that you've done and seeing what you did wrong and how you can like fix it to do the play right the next time with your teammates, so you don't let them down and let yourself down, just to make sure you can do everything right and to the best of your ability.
Yeah, I mean, repetition works that way because the more you do something, the better you get at it. So obviously that plays a part. Has Haley Luginbill ever been hit by a pitch?
A lot, actually. This season it was quite bad. I got hit a lot, honestly, in my thighs, my arms, my back. But I also crowd the plate, so that might be why. I don't really. It's okay.
How do you? I mean, because the ball. Let's be clear. The softball's traveling very fast. Um,
Mm-hmm.
eh, how do you react to knowing the pitch is coming at you and you're about to get hit? What is your response? Do you turn away? How do you know, and how, because you have to be quick. Your reaction has to be quick in that. And you've been hit by some pitches, but
Mm-hmm.
how do you handle that situation?
For me, I don't always move. I just turn and hope for the best. I sometimes lift my legs, but I'll still end up hitting my legs. Honestly, I'm just not the best at moving out of the way, honestly.
So you have your little bruises, and then you get a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of you get a taste of what that pitcher's throwing at you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite pitch to hit off of? I mean, is there a changeup? Is there a what kind of pitch? Because you're looking at the ball when it's coming at you. You have to be quick at that
Mhm.
and know how to hit off that. What is that? What favorite pitch do you like the pitcher to throw you?
I would probably say more of a screw ball, more to like from the middle to the outside. More, I like outside pitches probably more than any other pitch. I think I'm good at getting those out there and just extending them. I'd probably say that's my favorite pitch. Definitely not change up. I need to work on that, but it'll get better.
And I understand, Haley, it gets very competitive with girls softball. Take me through how competitive it gets on the field with you have a visitor, the other team that's coming in at your home field. I mean, take me through what that competition is like.
It is very intense. You can just see from the mood of some of the girls, or if the game's getting more like closer, you can see how they're just they're not as relaxed as you probably would want to be, but they really want to win, so they're just going all out and doing everything they can. And sometimes when doing this, you can mess up, and it's not always the best, but it's really intense, honestly. And you can just hear some of the things they're saying, like it gets a little, but
Oh, so it gets a little bit chippy. I mean, there are things being said, a little smack talk going in the dugout. Maybe especially if you're an offensive player and you're on base, is there a little bit of chatter that goes back and forth between different players?
Yeah, you can just hear them, like the second baseman or like first baseman talking about like you or the batter, and you just listening and like, oh, okay, because I don't want to say anything back. I mean, that's a little So it's just a little rude, and I just prefer not to. But it's gonna happen, honestly, and you just have to deal with it. You just have to have tough skin.
Yeah, you let your play on the field dictate the outcome of what you're
Yeah.
trying to do for your teammates. Uh, how do you find, sometimes with your teammates, you find something where you can help them out in.
Mhm.
What are some things that you help your teammates in on the field and in your sport?
On the field, I would probably say I help them out more at first base on just getting the right how to set up your feet at different places and like when to do cuts or whatever from the outfield. I just like to make sure that they help them, and if they don't know something, I'm always willing to like show them how to do it or tell them when they're supposed to be doing something just to make sure they can get better, because I want all of us to be better as a team and just do our best.
Talk to me about your head coach for your softball team. Explain how he is and who he is. Is it a he or she, or what? Who's your coach?
Our coach is Tim Johnson. He's a he. He's intense, but he also knows how to have fun. He's willing to like push us, and he really pushes us to make sure that we know that even if we're not doing our best or we're not trying, then there's always somebody who's who's there to take your spot or who wants it more than you. So you have to want it. But he's willing to push you, and he's gonna make sure you get to your best potential. That's what he's gonna do.
Take me through a time with your coach though that maybe was there a time that you guys didn't see eye to eye, and maybe it took some from you to kind of adjust your thinking, or
Mhm.
how do you handle a situation like that if maybe there's something that's not clear? Because again, it's communication, right? Sometimes things get off a little bit. Maybe you didn't understand it, or maybe you're trying to make a point and you're
Mhm.
trying to help him understand. So kind of like the student teacher relationship.
Mhm.
Has there ever been a situation like that with the coach?
I'm relatively new to this team, so there hasn't been really that many situations like that yet. Hopefully, there won't be, because I don't really like to argue with people that much. It's just not my thing. But if I was having like a situation where I need to like having them explain it, or we weren't seeing eye to eye on like how to do a certain drill or how to do a certain play, I would just ask him and talk to him at what his point of view is for how that would make it better, and I would try to apply that on what he's saying, because they're older than you and they understand, they've been watching and playing the sport more, so they're knowledgeable on this. You need to take that into understanding.
Very true. Very true. Well, we'll be right back with Haley Luginbill, class of 2023, first base, third base, with Western Branch High School in Virginia, 3.97 GPA in the virtual classroom. We'll be right back.
We've got your back, Road Warriors. Because we know you want to get back to going your speed. Steering life at 10 and 2. You're prepared for this. And so are we. Soon, you'll get back to skipping the counter without missing a beat. Back to choosing any car in the aisle. Back to being the boss of you. Go national. Go like a pro.
Customer service has always been at the heart of everything we do at Enterprise. And now, more than ever, we know the importance of keeping our valued partners, like you, informed about the service enhancements we've made for the safety and well-being of your customers and our employees. The Enterprise Complete Clean Pledge is our commitment to maintaining the highest standards of safety and cleanliness. Vehicle cleanliness has always been important, but right now, customers need even more confidence that the vehicle they are driving is clean and safe. With our Complete Clean Pledge, no matter where customers rent with us, a repair shop, their home, or our rental branch, customers will know their rental vehicle has been cleaned and sanitized in compliance with procedures established by leading health experts. Customers will see notifications within their vehicle that indicate it has been thoroughly cleaned using strict sanitizing procedures. These procedures include a strong focus on 20 high touch points throughout the vehicle, as well as washing, vacuuming, general wipe down, and sanitizing with a disinfectant. Additionally, we are innovating the rental process to minimize contact between your customers and our employees. Enterprise Launchpad allows us to interact with your customer where they are most comfortable. and complete a properly distanced, low-touch rental transaction. Our safety precautions also extend to our rental locations. We've installed plexiglass counter shields to protect our customers and employees. Touchable surfaces are sanitized regularly, and curbside pickup options are offered to customers visiting a rental location. As the needs of your customers evolve, we want you to know that we are committed to maintaining the highest standards of safety and cleanliness, along with the same great service you expect from Enterprise. Thank you for your partnership.
Well, welcome back. We're here with Haley Luginbill, class of 2023, first base, third base, 3.97 GPA. She's tackling that virtual classroom at Western Branch High School in Virginia. Hey, Haley, so COVID-19, that's presented a problem for everybody. And to be clear, some states have more freedom to play versus other states in their sport right now. What has COVID-19 presented for you as a softball team in managing of when you're going to play? What's the schedule going to look like? Is there going to be a season? Explain that for me, Haley.
It was more difficult, a lot more difficult during the summer when it had first started and spread around. We didn't get to play as much during the summer as we would have, or I wish we would have. It would have been great with my team to be able to just have that experience with the summer ball, because that's when a lot of it is hit hard and you really go at it. And with school, it was just cut down at the school season for softball. That was just not great either. And we've been managing it more for this travel ball. We've had to make sure we're more careful on what tournaments we're doing and where we're going, and deciding which ones we actually want to do, because we don't want to go to too many and possibly risk doing something in a hot area of COVID.
Yeah, that's managing a lot. Literally, that's managing a lot and being aware of, because it's based by county. I mean, the phases in COVID-19 are based on county. So when you enter a county, you have to know, okay, is this a hot spot or is it not, right? Talk to me about what training has been like, because I've seen batting cages, I've seen student athletes in their backyard fielding, throwing the ball against the wall, doing some different drills, footwork drills. So how has COVID-19 presented a challenge when it comes to the training aspect? Because batting cages have to be open and there has to be social distancing and following those protocols.
For our team, we usually would do more team workouts, but now with COVID, we've been cutting them back more. So there's less of the team workouts and you're expected more to work out on your own, whether it be going out to a field or going into a facility that you have that you could use to do these batting and fielding. So we would usually be doing a lot more team stuff, but now it's cut down, so it's not as great, but we deal with it and we're still going to do our best to get better.
So you're hoping there's a season, and what has the coaches said about what that may look like? And I mean, they're just, you all are just waiting for a chance. You're just waiting for a chance to say, you know what, we have a schedule, we have 6 games. What are the amount of games you have in your season though? Normal.
We start at the beginning of May for travel ball, and we go until September, usually around then when school starts, and then we start to cut back and we have a little bit of a break to get back used to school. But the number of games we probably go to at least 6 tournaments with 6 games in each tournament. So it's almost 36 games, or sometimes even more depending on how we do during the summer season.
That's a lot. That is a lot. So it could be that those games may be cut in half. I mean, and depending on what the hot spots are, where you have to travel, I mean, I could see that being playing a part there as far as what kind of season it will be for you. Talk to me about the alumni. This is an old high school, Western Branch High School in Virginia. Talk to me about the high school in regards to the history. And is there alumni that sometimes comes back to those games and they visit and you get a chance to hear those stories, what it's like to talk to those ones that played that sport back in the day?
they do come back and help out with practices quite a bit, even with other sports too. I know I played volleyball freshman year, and they still had alumni come back and help or come to the games sometimes. And then same with softball. They've had some of the girls who graduated come back and who are in college now, so they have more experience. They can tell you how it's going to be like, and it just helps a lot. And they'll just come watch the games, and they're supporting you because they've gone through it and they understand it.
What is one thing you could remember from a person that had played the game that you took to heart? You remember anything like that?
I would probably say just keeping a positive attitude all the time and just trying to not get down on yourself, even though it might be easy if you're not doing the best. Just trying to remember that everybody struggles, and just to keep a smile on your face and just help other people if they're struggling and with their attitude or mental game. Just help them out.
That's strong. I love that. I love that. Now, talk to me about Virginia, the Commonwealth. Talk to me about what your town is like. And some people maybe have not been to Virginia. I know I haven't been. Outside the games has not been to Virginia yet. We hopefully one day we get to. But what is it like in Virginia? What are the people like? What's the town like that you're from, and the city that you're from? Take me through that.
I mean, I'm sort of new to Virginia myself. I'm originally from Kansas, but Virginia that I've been here, all the people they've been nice. I mean, I haven't really met anybody that's been like a total jerk or anything. The beach is nice. It's a beach. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of beaches, but it's okay.
Well, they don't have beaches in Kansas.
I know,
right?
that
So
was
that
sort
probably
of a step up, but there's the mountains too, not just the beaches. So you can drive like 3 hours and you can get to mountains, and then you drive another 3 back and you're already at a beach. So that's really nice too.
beautiful. I tell you, are there some good eating spots there?
Yes, there are. There's a lot of seafood places because there's around the beach. You can go on the water or on like rivers and sit and eat some good seafood.
There you go. There you go. Is Haley, because let's be clear, some student athletes, they have maybe a favorite shoe they like to wear, or they have a little something. There's something to be said about the bat and the glove for a softball player. They have their favorites. Take me through what it's like to, how do you feel about that? Do you find it that there's a favorite bat you like to use, or a favorite mitt that you like to use? It's your mitt. You love to play with that mitt. You're one with those tools in your sport.
I would definitely have to say my favorite bat is Luginbill LXTs. I love those. I'm not using it currently. Our team is sponsored by DeMarini, and DeMarinis aren't bad. They're still really great bats. I just always used an LXT, and I just loved those. For gloves, I would probably say a Rawlings. I use Rawlings gloves. Those are probably what I've almost always used, and they're just really great.
And I mean, I've seen some softball players. I mean, they've showed like, hey, they get a new softball mitt for Christmas, or it has a certain color to it. It's bright yellow, or I mean,
Yeah.
Is there some technicality as far as what is accepted on the field as far as color of the mitt, or does it matter?
It doesn't really matter on our team. We got team gloves this year, but they were still different, like colored ones, so they didn't all match or anything. And you're allowed to write on them like a Bible verse, or like whatever you just need, just like some inspiration if you ever need to look at it. I've also played with people who have like custom gloves, and those are really cool. You usually can just mostly do your own thing with your gloves, as long as like it's a glove and it's not like totally trashed or anything, then it's usually okay.
Well, the thing is too, is you gotta break in that glove. So Haley, with the season, knowing that it's kind of, there's a big question mark of if there's going to be a season or not. What can you do as a student athlete to still be ready, even though COVID is to some extent, we've been presented with COVID for quite some time. Now it becomes an excuse not to do something and not to be ready. What does Haley Luginbill need to do in her sport to stay ready when the season is in front of you?
Just always keep practicing and doing what you need to do, and just doing that repetition and getting work in outside of like any practices you're doing with your team, your travel ball team right now, and just also just staying on top of your work. So when school ball comes, you're not having to do a whole bunch of more time management and getting back into, well, you're super busy with everything. And just make sure you're not going out and like to parties or whatever you got to keep everybody safe that you're going to be in contact with.
Decisions are everything, right? I mean, when it comes to what you do, what you choose to do, how you choose to spend your time, everybody's allotted the same amount of time. It's just what you do to choose of how you choose to use it, right?
Yes, it is. You need to choose your time to use it for the right things, not like going to parties. You could instead be like studying for maybe a test you have the next day that you maybe didn't want to study for, but you know you need to. Or just getting all your work done instead of maybe going out with your friends to like a store or something. Just make sure you're doing everything you need to and keeping safe.
Sound advice from Haley Luginbill. We appreciate you very much being on our show on Outside the Games. Again, when we highlight student athletes, it's about their character, what they do on and off the field versus on the field. Haley Luginbill, class of 2023, Western Branch High School, out of Virginia, 3.97 GPA. She's working hard in the virtual classroom. It's not an excuse. She's still focused. And first base, third base. And we've understood that she likes to play first base. But you know what? She loves to be anywhere the coach says she needs to be at. So she's that type of player and softball player. Thank you so much for being on our show. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Nice. But we're not done. We have this thing called the Quick Blitz. Haley, we're gonna try to get to know you on a personal level. Okay. Let's start out with your favorite food.
I'd probably say like chicken wings, like buffalo wings. I love spicy food. It's so good.
Favorite dessert?
Probably brownies. I'm not very good at baking them, but they're still good.
They gotta be soft and chewy though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Favorite cleat to wear?
I'd probably go Boomba. That's just what I prefer.
Favorite shoe to wear? Because we know Haley's a fashionista. So what's your favorite shoe to wear?
I've definitely got to go with Nikes. I love Nikes. I'm more of the tennis shoes. I love them so much.
Apple or Android, and why?
Apple, because Android is not the best. The emojis on iPhones are just way better. That's just one of the reasons, but I'd have to go with Apple.
And folks, she's on an iPad. That's right there. Last movie you just saw?
I think it was Pride and Prejudice.
Okay.
I love that movie too. It's really good.
Nice. You'd recommend that?
I would.
There you go. If you were running late somewhere, Haley, you had to let somebody know, would you call or text, and why?
I'd probably text, because if I was like driving, okay, no, if I was driving, I'd call. But if I was like just leaving, I would text, just to make sure that's easier, because it's easier to just send out a quick text and then they will have gotten it and they maybe have seen it, instead of having to have like a conversation real quick while you're running out the door and trying to focus on all the other things you need to do.
Favorite musical artist? There's a lot of them. I know.
I like Dean Lewis, but I do also love the old Taylor Swift songs. Those are all amazing.
She's got favorites. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you want to go?
I'd probably go to somewhere in Europe, like Italy or France. That'd be That'd be awesome.
Good destination spot. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite car or SUV? If you could pick any kind of car, SUV, what would Haley be driving?
Obviously, I'm gonna have to go with like a Mustang. If I could, that'd be awesome. But probably won't happen. But I mean, you can always dream. You can always.
American muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get serious on a couple things. The world today has been weird. I mean, 2020 has been crazy. 2021 now. But if there was one thing you had impact on in the world today, one thing you could change, Haley, what would that one thing be and why?
A lot of things I've been seeing now are about the global warming, like weather change, and like the Arctic wildlife preserve. And it's really sad seeing all these animals just all underweight and dirty, and they're losing all their homes. And I think it's just really sad because we've caused that. And I think we should figure out a way to like make it better for them, because they were here before us and we just ruined their habitats and everything. And they do so much for us, like the stuff we need.
Last thing your mom said to you.
Last thing, probably do the dishes. Mm-hmm.
Boy, I can tell that's her favorite. What's the last thing your dad told you?
Let the dogs out. Yes.
You are a dog lover, correct?
I love dogs so much. They're just so cute.
For you, if you noticed a person struggling with something and you were observant, because you have to be observant, you have to see around you, heads on a swivel. But if you saw somebody was struggling with something, how would you approach them with something that you knew that they were having a problem with, or that they found that they were having a problem with?
I wouldn't try to come on too strong, because then that might just like pressure them and make them feel overwhelmed or like a little scared to talk to you. They think you're gonna push them or maybe judge them. So you want to be like more gentle with it and just tell them that you're always there to talk if you need to. And then if it's like really serious, then maybe even talking to an adult about it, even if they don't want to talk to you, and just getting help that you need.
Well, that's strong. That's strong. And we always want to be helpful. We always want to be a resource for people, but kind of want to do it you have to feel that out. It's going to be different in all kind of different types of situations. Last question. This will determine your fate. No, just kidding. This will actually be a question that is going to be, hey, I know you'll get this right. Okay. Now, this would be what you would prefer. Okay. So think about that. What would you prefer? Would you prefer to have brownies ready to go, ready to bake, but then you don't have a pan to put them in to bake them? Or would you rather be on Outside the Games?
I think I've got to go with I would rather be on Outside the Games.
There you go. Right?
Yeah.
You can't, if you don't have a pan to do your brownies, that's
it's not gonna.
Yeah.
It would just not be good.
You're not gonna be happy. So that's true. Hey, thank you so much. This has been Haley Luginbill, class of 2023, first base, third base, softball. Yes, softball.
Mm-hmm.
Out of Western Branch High School in Virginia. Hey, give our love and greetings to those over in Virginia from Outside the Games. We appreciate them. Student athletes, the student body, the people, there's teachers in the school. It's a challenging time, definitely. She has a 3.97 GPA. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. So we thank you very much.
This is Savannah Gemolo, and you've been watching Outside the Games with your host, Kevin Menton.